Sometimes silence says more than words ever could.
Oh, who's blocked the toilet again?
Personally, I'm a big fan of stony periods of non-talk and use them every time I'm accused of wrongdoing, asked to do something I don't want to do, or for comic effect when I can't be bothered to write any lines for the sofa version of me. Thing is though, and here comes the tenuous link to this week's theme, I can talk if I want to. I don't have to communicate my needs and wants through actions like transforming into a dragon or bludgeoning a man to death with a golf club or making trees feel better by painting on them. All of which are things video game silent protagonists have to do. Here are 7 such protagonists that prove words are totally overrated. It's a good intro, that, wasn't it? Bioshock's Jack Ryan is first on our list, and yes, if you want to be pedantic, you could say he does words right at the beginning.
They told me, son, you're special.
But then spends the subsequent 10 to 15 hours of gameplay with his lips firmly sealed. And look what he manages to achieve in that time. He single-handedly battles through an underwater dystopia, taking on a circus of violent crazies, frees countless creepy doll children from their hulking captors, and injects himself with all manner of weird concoctions, one of which results in him shooting bees out of his hands. Proof, if ever you needed it, that words are just useless noise.
Yeah, but Rob, couldn't you argue that Bioshock is all about the power of words? Like, with a simple phrase, Atlas is able to control the actions of Jack throughout the entire game. And because of words, Jack subconsciously absolves himself of all responsibility for said actions. And that the whole game is a metaphor for how we're shaped and persuaded by the language and words of figures in authority.
Shut up, Dave. We all know the real point of Bioshock is you can beat a Tin Man to death with a spanner without uttering a word. Our next stern, silent type is Rayu from any Breath of Fire game you like really, but I'm going with my favourite one, Breath of Fire 4. Granted, Rayu does make the odd grunt when he smacks an enemy, or when he splits the atoms in his body and rearranges them into an ultra-powerful dragon form. But then I'd like to see you split the atoms in your body and rearrange them into an ultra-powerful dragon form without making some kind of noise. It's his complete lack of speech throughout the entire game that marks Rayu as a silent protagonist though, I mean obviously. But Breath of Fire 4 is a strange one, seeing as how all the dialogue is text-based anyway. Cray talks, Nina talks, even Ryu Celestial other half Foul Lu talks, but Rayu doesn't. He just gets on with the business of saving the world calmly and quietly. The perfect example of a make-your-own blank slate hero. What's that? You don't need to hear Ryu speak, because you can understand what he'd be saying based on the reactions of the characters around him. Just like with... No, they can't. Don't be silly. Because the only voice they can hear is mine. No, you're an idiot. There is a little twist with Rayu, however, and spoilers for Breath of Fire 4 if you still haven't played it yet but were planning on doing, and that is, at the end, after you've defeated Foul Lu in the final battle, Rayu absorbs his other half, goes Super Saiyan, and with that boost in power level finally gains the ability to speak. Right at the end of the game. Cool. Our next entry is a protagonist whose steely determination to stay silent in the face of unbelievable injustice really is quite admirable. Enter Dishonored's Corvo Attano. Let's recap the beginning of Dishonored, shall we? Corvo returns to Empress Jessamine and Princess Emily with news of his travels, and then bam, out of nowhere, assassins gut Her Majesty and kidnap the heir. The corrupt politicians of Dunwall come steaming in and immediately accuse you of the crime.
Woe us all. Look at what he's done.
Just tell them you didn't do it.
Yes, he's killed the Empress.
Open your mouth, man. Oh, he talks with his knives. Corvo truly is the epitome of the phrase actions speak louder than words, stealthily clawing his way up the revenge ladder by murdering, or not murdering, your choice, his way to the truth. Because who needs words when you can freeze time, pluck bullets from midair, and possess fish? If I could trade the ability to talk for those things, then I totally wouldn't. Number 4, the Hunter from Bloodborne. How he or she manages to keep a lid on it when faced with the dripping gothic horrors of Yharnam, I'll never know. But kudos, he's got a big axe and flipping well knows how to use it. And anyway, the Hunter in Bloodborne doesn't need to do any talking because every time a new boss appears, I say enough words for 10 protagonists. Oh my on a bite with a How the hell am I supposed to beat this utter Number 5 is Sackboy from Little Big Planet, a true PlayStation icon despite the fact he's not uttered a syllable across 4 entire games. But then he doesn't need to, does he? Sackboy is the ultimate blank slate, less a character, more a virtual representation of the hopes, dreams and usually horrendous fashion sense of whomever is controlling him. He's got a wonderfully pliable face as well, doesn't he, Sackboy? And you can effectively make him communicate just by moving it about. Sackboy is happy, Sackboy is sad, Sackboy is angry. Sackboy has somehow managed to get a Metal Gear reference into this Friday feature despite the fact Snake is absolutely not a silent protagonist. Suck it, Dave. The true beauty of Sackboy, however, is that he can be whatever you want him to be. He symbolises the near limitless creativity of an extremely talented community, and aptly, for that there are no words. Entry number 6, and we've got a protagonist presumably stunned into silence at the sheer beauty of the game they find themselves in. And also the fact their only way of meaningfully interacting with it is by scribbling over the top of everything with a magic paintbrush. Amaterasu is a divine being reborn into the body of a wolf to save the world from an evil multi-headed serpent demon called Orochi. And yes, instead of talking, she paints. She paints on trees to rejuvenate them. She paints on the sky to make it sunny, and she paints on evil things to cut them in half. You can't argue with that, can you? Besides, if you want talking, Isun, that's your pocket-sized travelling companion, does enough for everyone. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Look, maybe Amaterasu isn't a silent protagonist at all. Maybe the problem is she simply can't get a word in edgeways. Which brings us neatly onto our final entry, Chell of Portal and Portal 2 fame. Talking specifically about the sequel, she's got a fair bit of competition in the chin-wagging department, blasted as she is with an onslaught of verbal diarrhea from Stephen Merchant's Wheatley. But while everyone around her is cracking jokes or making death threats or slowly descending into a pit of madness, Chell remains calm, quiet and collected, solving puzzle after multi-dimensional puzzle. Then, right at the end, spoilers, we learn the true moral of Portal 2's story, and it's this. People who can't shut up eventually get sucked into an eternal orbit around the moon. The beautiful irony of this is that in the cold, dark vacuum of space, no one can hear you scream, let alone jabber on in an annoying voice. Well done, Chell, the silentest hero of them all. So there we go, 7 silent protagonists that prove words are totally overrated, and you can prove that too with the following actions. First, click the like button. Second, comment with some of your own favourite silent types. And most importantly, subscribe so I can come back next week and talk at you for 8 to 10 minutes all over again. Thanks for watching.